What's up, guys? Welcome back to your favorite pickleball podcast. So much drama to dive into this week. There was a lot of things happening on the interwebs, which we will dive into. The paddle scoop, the PED discussion, and give our takes on the matter. Plus, MLP Daytona coming up this week. We're going to dive into all of that coming up on this episode. But first, a quick thanks to our sponsors, starting with Pro XR, the official paddle of MLP, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knockaround, the official sunglasses of MLP, quality shades that won't break the bank. We love that. Aura Organic, the official nutrition partner of MLP. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mish McMahon, former Michigan volleyballer, current voice, one of the voices of Major League Pickleball, current sports broadcaster. And I will be covering MLP Daytona, which I cannot wait for this weekend. Also, thanks for my friend Taylor for sending me this hat this week. Very fun. Joined as always by the infamous four-time Survivor contestant, former pro cyclist. He turns heads with his fashion. Always colorful. He is the wisest mullet on the pickleball tour, Tyson Apostle. And guess what, everybody? We found Casey Patterson this week.
I did die.
He's back. He's not in his car. He does have a home. Casey, welcome back. We're happy to have you. Are you okay?
I do look homeless, though. No, I'm not even going to beard. I just have no time to shave. So it's turned into a beard.
I am growing a beard, but your beard is bigger than mine, even though I'm trying and you're not.
Thank you. I needed that on my day back, finally.
I'm not growing a beard, thankfully. But I do have
everyone's
yet. And unless I start taking PEDs, then maybe I can get up my testosterone. Just kidding. Bad joke. Too soon?
We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that.
No, I'm totally joking. Yeah. That was a bad, distasteful joke for what we're discussing. But let's begin, guys, with...
Yeah.
We've got a lot to unpack, but let's weigh in on starting with the paddle discussion. Paddlegate, there was a lot of hype talk heading into the PPA Austin event this weekend. So Tyson, what's your take on all the talk that's happened on Twitter? What are you thinking about this paddle situation as far as regulation goes, as far as everything you're hearing on the interwebs?
Yeah, so... Obviously, there needs to be guidelines for paddles. There already is guidelines for paddles, but the boundaries have been pushed, and I don't know that, the regulatory factions haven't really, put their foot down hard enough on some of this stuff and kind of given some slaps on the wrist and stuff. And so now we're at this point again where it's like, what is a legal paddle, what isn't? And there's discussion about paddles that test legally, but then delaminate over time, which creates more dwell time, more trampoline effect, whatever you got going on, which means that the ball is sped up a lot faster than it would off of a new paddle or something like that. And I think even when the discussion started back when these paddles were having extra grit on them and then they were deemed too gritty. And USA Pickleball, the problem is that they are trying to create an apparatus to test for something on these paddles that does not fully exist yet. So they're like, oh, here's a grit tester. It tests the valleys, the ebbs and flows of the surface, and then it gives us a number, but that number could be different because it's measuring on a microscopic level on points of the paddle. So you need to come up with a regulation that is very easy to check at an event. And that means like with cycling, there were measurements of your bike that had to be within like a boundary. So they just had like a footprint taped up on like a wall or something like that and pushed your bike up against it to measure it against that footprint, which is an easy thing to do with the size of a paddle. Like the dimensions of a paddle should fit within this little box. Super easy to test for at a tournament. You just, like an overhead bag box thing at the airport.
Right.
So easy. So that should be something. Then there was a minimum weight your bike could be. And it was like 15 and a half pounds. Your bike could not be lighter than that because they felt like at the time that anything lighter than that would be compromising strength of materials. And when you're going 70 miles per hour on a road bike downhill, you can't have a malfunction. And so I think also with paddles, my belief is there should be a max weight you can put on there, because obviously the more weight you add, the harder you can hit the ball.
Right.
But some people can't will to paddle that heavy. And so I think you make say, okay, 8.5 is the max weight you can have your paddle. Then you got to work within those parameters as a pro or as a player. And that's something else that's easy to test for because you just have a scale on site.
Right. That goes to the baseball theory, right? Like the bats and the pine tar and the weight and the density, and they're hollowing them out and putting cores inside that make you hit. I mean, it's all the same type of regulation you have to have.
Yeah, you have to have it because people will keep coming up with stuff. So you need to have a manufacturing process or a few manufacturing processes that are approved, and then probably you go and approve these processes at a certain time. You say, okay, here's the paddle, here's how it's made. Okay, that's fine. And then you have the footprint, the max weight it can be. So you can add some weight, but not only up to a certain level. And then, what else am I missing there, Casey? Thickness is something that you can also, but you just put parameters that you can mostly measure with a tape measure, a scale, and then maybe a few other small processes. But when you have 30 different measurements and none of them have an existing device to test for already, and so now you have to invent a device to test for a thing on a new sport, that's a lot of work.
Plus, that's just like the regulation on the paddle structure, not how the paddle hits the ball, right? Because you got like the delamination, you've got the the impact and how long it sits in the paddle, right? Because the material inside, like how do you test, like you have to have a robot hitting the ball like the Japanese ping pong robot
15,000 times to make sure it doesn't delaminate. So that's why I'm saying like you have to have the manufacturing process itself approved.
Right. There needs to be a list, and you have to almost turn it in at every event. If there's any sort of new wave of paddles, there's like, all right, here's everything, the materials, here's the measurements. That's crazy. And it's funny that everyone's bringing up the delamination thing, because I didn't know like that was even a thing until someone referenced it recently.
Yeah.
And then I looked back at when I first started playing, I was breaking paddles because I was playing people that weren't very good. And so I was hitting so many overheads that I would crack the core. On 4 paddles, I broke them in the middle.
Yeah.
And then it had this weird noise, and I was like smacking, it was hitting balls harder. And I was like, what happened? It's because it had separated, the core had snapped, and then it had separated.
Yeah.
And so I had this trampoline effect, and I didn't know, I thought it was like, well, paddle's broken, so I just get rid of it. But
when actually you had a super paddle in your hand.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I've got,
Casey's like, I've been doing this for years. I don't know what everyone's complaining about.
I don't know.
I have a friend playing right now with an old paddle that is delaminated. And you can feel it when you push on it with your thumbs.
Yeah.
And he can hit the ball so much harder. His overhead smashes are unreturnable because he can hit it so hard with that paddle. And you watch him switch paddles to a brand new paddle,
and it's
half the speed.
Wow,
It's
fascinating.
Do you remember, Tyson, you probably had these as well, before you could dunk a basketball, they came out with the catapults. You remember those shoes?
Yes. Yeah.
Once I got the catapults, I could dunk.
Yeah.
Because there was an actual
microscope
catapult in my shoe.
That's
a reactor.
They were delaminated shoes. I didn't even know. Oh my gosh.
That's gonna be next on the pickleball drama circuit. So that is
shoes.
That's something that I don't know. So what's the solution then, other than, okay, you mentioned bringing the size, the weight. How do you test for something like lamination?
You have to have an approved manufacturing process. So you have to say like this is and then like the materials themselves, obviously.
But then,
and then
like, what about the situation like Casey, where he's unintentionally delaminating his paddle?
Well, that's why either the manufacturing process has to be approved so that you know that you're not going to get to that delaminated place, or you test for it somehow on site, and okay, paddles are going to delaminate, and at this point they're extra spongy and can have that trampoline effect, or so you have something that can test that by compressing them, or you just say, you know what, that's fine. If you have the footprint of the paddle, it has to be within a certain measurements. It has to be under a certain thickness. It has to be under a certain weight. and then it has to be a solid paddle face with no holes in it. And then at that point, do what you want to do.
At this point, they're going to be like when you go to a football game or a basketball, you have to have your clear backpack. Everyone's paddle has to be clear now. All clear material.
So you can see all the way through.
Done. Solves all the problems. Or Chat GPT-4 I'll log in and create a paddle testing like software.
Ooh.
And that's what we'll all go in on it together. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Easy.
Done and done.
Yeah.
We've got our $1 million
problems.
idea.
Yeah, Chat GPT, please make us the perfect paddle testing device to test delamination and dwell time on a paddle face. Yeah, and then I think also like the grit issue too.
Yeah.
Just say it has to be smooth to the touch or something. I don't know. Like there's got to be a way that you can do it that's easy rather than have a device that checks 7 different points on the paddle at half-hour increments and then average those and then times by 2 to see what that's.
I just got new tires and the guy comes out with like an iPhone. With like an extra battery. You know, like the scanner when you go into a concert and just go.
Yeah, it has something attached to it.
It has a laser on the bottom and it measures the distance from when the device touches the surface to the tread of the tire, and it just measures the distance in the tread. And I'm like, wait, have those been out for a while? He's like, oh yeah, it's kind of crazy how much they help us because we used to just eyeball it, and people would be like, well, I don't really believe you. Why would I buy 4 tires? When now it's like, dude, you're like well below like the safety regulation. So it's like, I know they have that thing where you can sit on there and it kind of measures the grain of the carbon. But it seems like that laser type of machine would just be like, boop, and it'd be so fast and easy, like you're checking into Costco. You're like, ding, ding, you're out. You know, you're in, you're out. It's ready to go. That would be simple.
Yeah. If you have something simple like that, great. But if not, and you have to invent a device for it, then you need to come up with different parameters for that grit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I've had paddles that were the same company, had the first version, and then I got a new one, and it was like drastically more gritty.
Yeah.
But they're both approved, and you're like, there's no way this is the same. Like,
correct.
It says it is, and it could be just, the factory. You can't monitor that in each cycle of 1,000 paddles, and you test 10. Like, who knows?
Here we go.
Yeah.
We just have a representative from USA Pickleball with a buffer, like a floor buffer.
Yes.
Put wax on there, smooth everybody's surfaces perfectly, like
back to how we
slippery
started.
Smooth.
Wood paddles.
Slippery smooth. No, you could just shave the grit off there and put some wax on it to make it extra.
You're just polishing it down.
Yeah, just polish it down. So everybody's face has to get polished before each game.
Defeating the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Of the carbon.
Everybody's grit is gone. Sorry.
Or they make the ball just has to be like heavier.
Yeah.
It has to be a baseball or something, like a tennis ball, something that the grit won't matter. That's crazy because I wish I would have played tennis growing up and known, like, well, how do they test for the rackets? Like the weight, the consistency, the string density, and like the tension that it has. Like, I'm sure that because you saw there's clips of that girl on Tennis Channel. She's like stepping on her racket. I'm like, well, yeah, because she wants to get that, like, she wants more recoil, right? Like a longer sit in the play of the strings to pull it out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So that's the paddle gate from the last couple of weeks. Now let's move into an even juicier topic. Shots were fired on both topics, by the way. We will not name names. We will not get into that, but you can certainly look it up on your own time if you want.
War.
I mean, there was conversations with multiple parties commenting.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. So the PED discussion is next, and I'm going to defer to you guys more on this because, yes, I was a college athlete, but I never personally had any run-ins with PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, in women's volleyball. Now that I know of. Yeah. You're right.
Correct.
No awkward situations where someone followed you into the bathroom and had to watch you.
Yes, we got drug tested. That is for sure. And I was like, really, me, the walk-on that never plays? You're gonna drug test me? Like,
you saw me sitting on the bench, right? Like I was just came in and subbed to serve once in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm but it makes sense because if one of your stars players were doing it, or I'd be the easiest one to kick off.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It was randomized, so they say. But obviously pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. It's garnering a lot more attention, a lot more notoriety, and the athletes are improving. You've got better athletes coming into the sports. And with that, bending of the rules or whatever in any sport. People are going to do whatever they can to give themselves a competitive edge to win. It just happens. It's a part of sports. We've lived with it. You, Tyson, have the cyclist background. Casey, you obviously pro volleyball. Cycling, I feel like, has a lot of this discussion that we know of that's been public news all day, every day.
Most intense, probably.
Yeah. So you
have
an interesting, you both have an interesting perspective. So what's your take on the current discussion? How do you manage it with the influx of new athletes and people trying to push their levels legally? What's your overall stance?
I mean, Casey said, because we saw all the social media stuff, and Casey had a post or he commented on something that anti-cheating for sure, like that is cheating. But he also said, like, it's expensive to run anti-doping programs in a sport, and the money in pickleball is not worth yet that extensive of a program in place. And I also agree with that. It's very hard to do. But even on the amateur level of cycling, there was drug testing.
Yeah.
And the way that they operated there was sometimes it was just a placebo drug test, like a drug tent set up at an event, pulled some people in, maybe took some samples, maybe tested the samples, maybe threw them away. Nobody really knows for sure all the time whether or not stuff, but at least the risk of getting caught is there a little bit.
Everyone's a little bit scared. Like, they're testing, and the federation be like, or the hosts at the event be like, well, we're testing at this event. And then everyone just kind of like, well, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yes. And so there's ways to do that. It's obviously like a growing sport, and it's on the professional level especially. And so it's like, and with cycling, they're at that point now where they're like, we can't create a drug test until the drug has been utilized. And then we have to figure out a drug test. Like, because new stuff's coming up all the time. And then athletes are like, oh, why don't I try this? And then they have to come up with a test that they never even thought of anything. So the good guys are always going to be handfuls of months, if not longer, behind the quote unquote bad guys, the guys pushing the limits with the PEDs. And I think that until someone in pickleball is caught red-handed, that it's not going to be a real issue. I mean, it's expensive. PEDs are expensive, and the more high tech you get, the more expensive that becomes. So like if you're looking at like a top pro cyclist that's like wanting to get the most out of it, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month, if not more.
Right. And that's if you don't have someone there helping you. That's just for the gear probably, right? And then you have, like all the documentaries. I remember being on the World Tour, watching them all on my flights over to events. I'm like, everyone's doping. I'm the only one who's not. This isn't fair. And
that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, they want you to think like everyone's doing it, because every documentary was like, yeah, everyone's doing it, because to a certain point.
So those are the people that are doing it.
Right.
The people that are doing it are justifying that they're doing it by saying everyone's doing it.
Exactly. It's just
but
like
I know I wasn't
cycle.
doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because if you look at like the fine print in most of these regulations on tours, if you have an elevated caffeine level that's higher than their like minimum allowed, you could get in trouble. Like at least on beach volleyball, they had that like post-match, if you got tested and you are above 350 milligrams of caffeine in your system, that was like a hit, and you had to serve some sort of time, or there was some sort of repercussion. Just caffeine. I'm like, these guys are crushing espressos nonstop. And when we're like in Europe, for sure everyone's over that limit, because that was like the one thing that helped elevate your awareness and your energy levels more than anything that was totally legal. So then guys are like ODing on caffeine. Wow. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, there was that, even there was, I don't know, pre-workouts have been through the whole different ringer, like that, all of the testing type things. And, a lot of times the people getting caught are the ones who aren't trying to take drugs. They're just an accidental issue usually, because like Tyson said, everyone who's really doing it is so far ahead of the curve, taking drugs that aren't even on the market yet, that they can't even test for. They're already 3-4 months ahead of the world doping, or the USADA or WADA, whoever's testing, they're so far ahead that it's like the guys who are good, they're not going to get caught. So it's people that are getting caught are the ones on accident where it got mixed in a bad batch because their supplements aren't being third-party tested. You know what I mean? And so,
which, if you're a pro athlete, is on you. You
100%.
need to, if you have products that you love, you need to either find out that they are not being cross-contaminated by producing something that could be on a banned list.
right.
And
That's massive.
like as a cyclist, I had to, any supplement I was taking, there was either already a guarantee there that was like, we don't produce anything in our lab that is on the banned substance list.
Right.
Or I had to contact that company and have them send a letter guaranteeing that.
Right, because in most of the fine print it says wasn't fully clean or there's traces of X,
Yes.
Y, Z, or there's the little cross where it's like, who knows what that means? There's like all these random things. Because
Yeah.
it costs hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s to do a third-party testing to purify and guarantee that they can't get hit by any sort of regulation, depending on whatever it is in whatever sport you're in. So you like Tyson said, if you're an athlete who's serious about it and now there's big money and people are going to be betting, you better make sure you're
Right.
either getting the right sponsor or spending more to get the supplements. You can't just go to Costco or Walmart anymore or Target or GNC. You have to go get a third-party tested brand that's probably going to cost double, triple what you're paying for your other protein.
Was Adderall on your list, Casey? Of
You know,
banned
you have to get a TUE. You can have that, but you have
Right.
to have it approved through your
prescription.
personal physician, and then the federation has to approve it. And then they're only letting you allow a certain limit of it as well.
Right. That's what I thought. That was the one in volleyball that they were like, don't take Adderall ever if you're like, I don't know, sometimes college. I don't endorse any of that, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting.
Well,
like,
those are the ones that are probably the most utilized in a sense because they're somewhat legal if you can follow the rules, but then you would just take more, or you found some sort of like microdosing of caffeine and Adderall
Right.
with a banana, and you're like, "Wow, I'm invincible! I'm Superman!" Like that's what everyone's doing because they're just finding a way to kind of be illegal, but below the radar in a sense. I mean, that's what kind of life in general. How close to the line can I get without getting caught, but still being called fair and not cheating? You know.
right. The long
Like if I
term.
peek over at your cards in a card game, I'm cheating, but I'm not really cheating. You know what I mean?
Right. The long-term implications of some of the stuff, though, like health-wise, like from a big picture perspective, if you are to be an athlete that takes PEDs, it can't be worth it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. What-
Have you seen that study?
No.
That said that like college, they did like some study, and I'm paraphrasing it, and I will have the numbers not correct, and somebody will jump on here. So do your research on this, but I am paraphrasing the accuracy of it. And it was something like they pulled a bunch of college athletes, and they said, we'll take an amount of years off your life, but you'll be guaranteed a gold medal in the Olympics.
It's like,
Will you do it?
No way.
And it's illegal. Yeah.
And they said yes?
You have to do illegal substances. It will take years off of your life, but you'll win a gold medal. Will you do it? And it was like a resounding, like a huge majority
You're
said
kidding.
yes.
Wow.
I mean, more
Because
than 10,
that
no.
is-
Under 10, I probably would.
That is the
Right.
life of like a pro athlete. Like
Yeah.
it's just
life-changing.
like, and it's not only life changing, but you are a competitor and you want the glory and you've worked hard for it and stuff like that. And so it's like,
Yeah.
and also like there's circumstances involved too, because it's
Yeah.
not like it's not a black or white issue
Right.
all the way through. It's like in cycling, you have a bunch of people coming from all over the world into this sport that are providing for dozens, if not hundreds of people back home.
Yeah.
Like you have someone from like a Baltic state somewhere where their whole family for generations was potato farmers, and all of a sudden they're making 200 times more money than all of them combined. And the risk for them and the reward is worth it for them to maintain their salary in their professional sport. And at that point, it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Especially leading up to like a gold medal. If you're the number one team in the world, you've won more Grand Slams, you've won world championships. Like that's leading up to the gold medal that they said would be somewhat guaranteed. Like the money involved leading up is almost more than once you won it and then after, because I know that's the world that you live in, but as an athlete, you have such a short window, and you know that. You're like, well, my window's short anyways. Might as well be full Hulk versus just, David Banner, the scientist.
Yeah. So to summarize, like, will there be performance-enhancing drugs in pickleball? Yes.
For sure.
There's humans playing pickleball. There's competitive athletes playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Are people looking for edges? Yes. Are people going to go down the rabbit hole of illegal edges? Yes. But where are we right now? Testing will need to happen for the gambling aspect and all of those things to happen. And most of that stuff is not only on the banned substance list of, you can't take this, but a lot of it is already illegal by the government to utilize. So even if there's not measures in play right now specifically for punishments in the sport, there is legal repercussions.
Well, plus you have to think about how technically sound this game is and how many variables there are that are also out of control. The ball hitting the net and trickling over. Like, steroids aren't going to help me get that ball. You know what I mean? The refs, or making a bad call, or random things happening that are out of your control. In beach volleyball, we had probably the same amount of things that you can't control that happen that keep you from winning. And in our sport, there's way more physical requirements to win. Like, you're in deep sand. Imagine if you've ever gone to the beach, walking more than 100 feet to the water with your backpack on, and people are struggling to walk to the water. And we're trying to max jump, sprint as fast as we can, dive on the ground, get up, jump as high as we can again, and have that, over and over again. So the desire to be physically dominant is so much more, where I feel like, and our sport's super technical because of the variables and then the conditions and the skills and the wind, and the same thing in pickleball. But in pickleball, it's even more. It's more of a nullifier, because there's no, I can't jump serve in pickleball, or I can't hit a home run in pickleball. So it's all right, because of the sport and how awesome it is, to where it's made it more of an equalizer. I mean, drugs are only going to get you so far, and you're still going to get beat by a 60-year-old dude who can barely walk, because his paddle skills and his ability to read the ball and the spin and manipulate it are so much better than yours that, all right, there's really not that massive of an advantage, besides just maybe not getting tired and being a second or two faster to a forehand drive. But besides that, you still have to be so much better at the game, because I've beaten people in the sand, multiple, that everyone knew were taking steroids. It didn't matter. I was still going to beat him because I was just a better volleyball player. Cool. I'd be rad if I jumped higher, but I didn't need to. It was just all about the strategy and being able to play the game. So I think that only gets you to a certain point. And it's you're not going to hit your underhand serve so much harder.
Right.
Yeah. But if you're already at that point and then you want a percentage or two more, that's where.
And that is for sure where the scenarios are going to be happening.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think, to summarize it, the sport's growing and people are competitive, and that's the nature of sport.
Yeah.
But I think you can't put measures in action fully until there's been something to trigger that.
Right.
And so I think that's where pickleball is currently. Let's talk about Daytona coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
Me too.
So exciting.
Should we talk
Michelle,
about do you want me to run through the groups?
Well, you get to be there for 4 days. I thought you'd gloat more about that, because
do.
Casey and I are going to be absent.
I know. We got to do a live podcast from one of the sites one of these times.
Seriously.
We'll have to coordinate that. Well, there's one coming up in Southern Cal, so maybe we can all rendezvous there.
Okay, that's not too far for me.
But 4 days. I'm leaving on Wednesday, and then we'll be heading out Monday, and I'm just excited. I have not been to the Daytona Beach site. It looks really cool. I'm very excited to first and foremost see the site, and just every event just seems to maximize and build on the other. So that's another thing I'm excited about. MLP Mesa set a pretty high bar for 2023, and then Daytona Beach, I'm sure we'll set another higher bar, and then we continue to grow from there. But yeah, I'm excited. I love the state of Florida, as we all know, so I'm very excited to be there, and I can't wait to see who comes out on top. I think it's just going to be an absolute bloodbath again, as we like the margin of error is so slim, as we know. The teams are so strong, and obviously there wasn't a ton of movement, so I think most owners are happy with their teams. They just...
Was there any movement? I don't think there could. I don't think you're allowed to have any movement unless you have someone who's on the injured list.
True.
Then you're having somebody come in and fill in for them. But I think that
true.
There's no movement in the Premier League.
Yeah, true. Sorry, I was thinking the Challenger. But yeah, no. So I'm very excited and can't wait. Wish you guys could be there.
I wish I could too. Also, the challenge, like you said, the Challenger League did have quite a bit of movement.
Yeah.
There was a handful of people let go, some new people picked up. So there will be some things to watch there. I think the main storyline will be the Jill Braverman at DC Pickle or at Dallas Pickleball Club. And then we have Megan Fudge, who went from Dallas to, where did she go to?
To
that whole like
to Dave Fleming's team. No, Dallas is Dave Fleming's team.
She left Dave Fleming's team.
To the Columbus.
Yes, to Columbus. That's right. To Columbus Pickleball team. And so that will be interesting. I think that those are probably the two biggest changes to watch for here. And like we said when we talked with Paul Olin, it's like Jill, getting traded there is probably going to have like a little bit extra to prove, like to Columbus, like you should have kept me. And then also Megan Fudge will probably also at Columbus will be like, okay, let's make Dallas regret this like little maneuver here.
Right.
But that's just me. That's my competitive nature. I don't know if that's how they're feeling, but I definitely like anytime I get a no or a pass or something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to prove to you that you should have said yes to me.
Yes. Chip on the shoulder immediately.
Yeah.
The same.
I'm the same way. I think
okay,
so.
Good. So
we're all in the same boat there. Paul was like, no, there won't be any of that. I'm like, okay, Paul, there's going to be a little bit
I just like having fun. Like, I want to beat everyone.
Yeah.
So that means 3 out of 3 Americans say that if they have been traded,
100%.
that they would have a chip on their shoulder. Yeah.
You can't not be like, ultimately you decided to trade me. Like at the end of the day, for whatever reason, I was not a fit on your team, and that's fine. And it could be for whatever perfect reason or not, but I was still traded.
Have to win.
And now I have to win. That's
there's no way that they didn't think I was as good as the person they traded me for. They just traded me because they needed to, or that the team wanted me. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's...
So that'll be fun to watch. I hope we get to see a Dallas-Columbus matchup. And you have the draws for us right, Michelle?
Yeah.
And the draws were random again?
Random, but Brooke says optimized to make sure at the most only one team from the previous group were in the same group again.
Oh, okay. So they're mixing up groups so you don't find yourself with the same teams again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually great, because the worst part is going to an event. Let's say you're in like that top 5. You're constantly playing majority of the time those like top 5 to 8 teams every time, and you're like, dude, I didn't even play half of the tour all season because of how that works out.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Yep. So the groups go as follows.
Yep.
Group A is Frisco Clean Cause, the California BLQK Bears, Milwaukee Mashers, and the Seattle Pioneers.
Okay.
Ben Johns in that group.
Yeah, we've gone over this all before. Like every time you see a team, I'm like, that's a good team. That's a good team.
Yeah.
That's a good team. That's a good team. Yeah.
But people are saying Group B is the gauntlet group. So here we go. That's the Las Vegas Night Owls, New York Hustlers, the SoCal Hard Eights, and the New Jersey Fives.
Ooh,
that is a gauntlet in my opinion, but they all are. I mean, there's no easy, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but
we got to see the New Jersey Fives and the New York Hustlers get into it.
Yeah.
Last event with Mesa. So
in the semis.
That'll be exciting to see them meet up early.
A rematch there. I think that's going to be so much fun to watch. And then Group C is the St. Louis Shock, Florida Smash, the ATX Pickleballers, and the defending champs, the LA Mad Drops, who I would not want to see. Irina Terashenko and her team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The GOAT.
Jeez,
So,
GOAT of MLP.
The GOAT of MLP. And then our coverage will be beginning on Thursday for the Challenger League. I'm going to pull it up right now, too. Yeah, so Thursday we begin at 8 a.m. They are all...
And are the challengers, is it 2 groups of 6 or is it 3 groups of 4 for the Challenger?
There are
League?
3 groups for the Challenger. I can announce those as well if you want.
Okay. Yeah, that's what they did because originally I think Premier League last at Mesa was going to do 2 groups of 6, but then they ultimately decided on 3 groups of 4.
Yeah, the players, I guess, preferred.
It's a long day.
Yeah, the players wanted the 3 groups on the Premier side. So that's why they went with what they went with. But
okay,
yeah. So
can anybody stop the Mad Drops?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. There's so much
now they have a target on their back.
Since then. I feel like they've got footage now. They've got data. They also have, a few events in between that they've been playing.
I think the Florida Smash could give them some trouble in this group. Georgia Johnson, Travis Rettenmeyer,
Colin Johns,
Jesse Irvin.
Okay.
I mean, when you think about Mesa, the Smash were within just a couple of points of getting them last time. So this is a rematch for them from, I think it was the quarters to get into the semis. Or maybe it was the semis. I got to go look back. It's all a blur come Championship Sunday because you're like, I don't even know where I am. Who is here?
Yeah. Well, and also...
I think my notes.
Yeah, just a little bit, just whisper, talk softly until championship. And I think like in Mesa, we saw some teams come down to the wire where the story could have been completely different, had a few points gone a different direction. And then also like I was watching the tournament this past weekend, the PPA, and I was just thinking like, and it goes also to what we were discussing with Riley, that the talent pool is getting deeper and deeper in pickleball, where the percentage point between the top player and the 15th seed is getting smaller and smaller. That gap is shrinking. And as that shrinks, even the early draw play, the early draw matchups are amazing to watch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm watching this tournament all 3 or 4 days because I know that even like day 1, we're going to see some action. We're going to see some highlights. We're going to see some competitive play. And so I think like Major League Pickleball is that's even exaggerated even further, obviously, because you have all these top teams, top players matching up, could go either direction. Sure, there's upsets, but they're like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a percentage point that these teams' talent is the differential.
Who do we think comes out in Group B?
Well, I mean, who did we have in the finals? Were the Hustlers in the finals last?
The Hustlers were, but they just
were in the
barely
finals,
edged
barely
out.
eked out the fives.
Barely edged out
Which
the
was
fives.
an insane match. That was crazy.
So I think it's like too hard to say who's been playing well recently. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ignatovich on the fives, AL on the fives. They've been both, like, I would say Ignatovich has made improvements over the last month.
Totally.
He works so hard, plus the like success, he's just like creeping closer and closer and closer. He's confident, he's ready to like break through that ceiling, get some W's, and I think that's huge for a team, right? Because you're like, this guy was good before, now he's on fire because he's confident and he's been playing well. The momentum's on his side. I think teams like that are dangerous.
Finally medaled with the PPA. That was he was on a podcast recently talking about getting the monkey off of his, we all
Papa
heard the
James.
interview. Big Papa Jimmy
so
getting
good.
the monkey off his back. And then
Do you
Riley...
think does he have like a stand-up coach or something, do you think, that's like writing lines for him?
Sherry. Ryan Sherry, right?
Ryan Sherry, that's Ryan Sherry's sense of humor there.
But then the SoCal Hard Eights, remember Riley Newman is into the mix now. So that's like...
And he predicted a victory.
So that's like 3 teams right there. To me, that could easily come out on top. And then you have the Night Owls with Deckle Bar, Kyle Yates, Vivian David, and they're not an easy team to beat.
Vivian David's been playing out of her mind recently.
Right, just made the finals.
That is a gauntlet. That is the gauntlet pull.
Yeah.
I have to agree.
But I think like you have to look at like I see the fives. Ignatovic has stepped up in his gameplay recently, made that breakthrough. I know that once you win, it's easier to win again.
Easier to do it
because you
again.
know you
Yes.
can do it, and you know you have the talent to do it.
Even though you always believed, it's like,
Yeah.
it's real now. You're like,
Yes.
I knew it. Okay, good.
Exactly.
Yes, I knew it.
And AL still playing at the top of her game. And she maybe even had a little wake up call where she lost something and then like, lit a little fire. And then you look at like the Hustlers, like
Anna
nobody
Bright.
there has made huge waves except for Anna Bright. But now
Bright.
she's playing against her boyfriend. Are we going to see?
No, they're playing
Anna?
together now. Oh, but yeah, no,
Not here,
in
they're
MLP.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
So-
another wave in the pickleball world. We
Yeah.
didn't even talk about that, but yeah.
So,
oh well, Riley.
Anna-
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we talked with Riley, but Anna said, it's hard to play against her boyfriend, her true love, James Ignatovic.
True love. Why'd you
yeah.
say it like
It's funny because for me, it's easier to play
So
not with my
dramatic.
true love.
I assume,
Like being
yeah.
married, it's easier to not play with your wife. Than
I
to play with your
agree.
wife.
I feel
Yeah.
I did not play well with my former significant other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was not fun.
and
But
yeah,
I guess we're both not pros, so that's
that's the thing.
It's true.
the difference.
But your wife
get it.
played collegiate volleyball.
Volleyball is easy. Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
pickleball, no way.
Okay, yeah,
it's
and
so
I'm
hard.
the same. But like,
And
it's
I'm the same.
can James or Anna use matters of the heart as strategy in their match coming up?
It's gonna get dicey,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like
It's either that or
That
they're like,
sounds like
hey,
a Survivor,
don't hold
like,
anything back. Right?
Don't go anywhere. Can
Yeah.
true love keep this
The most
partnership
exciting love
together?
story ever.
The Bachelor. You guys are talking about the
Oh,
Bachelor,
you're
not
right.
Survivor.
You're right.
The most dramatic rose ceremony.
Will James Ignatovic get the final rose from Anna Bright? The answer is yes.
Yeah, we'll find
But will
out.
they still be together after MLP? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
They have.
That's the
They've
thing.
weathered the storm thus far. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, but Anna supposedly really dislikes playing against James on the other side of the net, and
Yeah.
it does because that is a little hard. Like,
Yeah.
Because
if my wife is on the opposite side of the net and I wagging my finger in her face,
I'd be
for my
pissed.
teams, you have to.
I would hate you.
But that's the
I know.
because you have to be with your team here.
I know.
All for the team,
But
but
I would
also
hate you.
like you're holding. Yeah,
I just wouldn't wag my finger. I would go straight to my team and just yell and make sure she knew that I was being respectful. There's ways around it.
Just
yeah, but then your team's like, where's
Make
Casey's
sure-
loyalty? He's not wagging his
Exactly.
Is
finger
he
at
on
his
our
wife.
team or her team? Who
Yeah,
does
whose
he
team
want
is
to
he
win?
on? Yeah, is he letting her
Did
win?
he serve that in the net on purpose?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, they're both.
You gotta
spicy.
wag your finger.
They're spicy
James
players.
and Anna, you gotta wag your fingers at each
Yes.
other.
I agree.
Come on.
But like,
That
I
should
just
be their signal of love. I love you.
Yeah. Remember every time I wag my finger and
means
yell, it means I love you.
Yes. Let's go means I love you.
Yeah.
I feel like James is gonna take a notch down on that enthusiasm. That's my stance.
I don't think you can. I think when you start doing that, then your plays change.
But
like
then it comes
it's all
down to
about
what
routine.
matters
It's
more.
about
They just need to have code with each other and be like,
You're
look,
right.
the more intense we get, it means the more we love each other, which makes it better for like everything around pickleball, the drama. Everyone's going to think we're going to in a fight, but in reality, we're honoring each other's competitiveness by letting ourselves go. But that just means we love each other.
yeah.
That's so politically correct of you, Casey.
Well,
You should be
so
a love
there's
counselor here in pickleball.
I mean, there's going to be two storylines in that matchup. Is will true love conquer, and who else will also conquer, Anna or James?
Oh my gosh.
You know, if James loses, he's just like Princess Bride, as you wish. She's like, my sweet Wesley. Oh, he's so good.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I'm excited to watch that.
I am too.
think.
That'll be fun.
I'm
and
too.
yeah, so Daytona coming up.
Yeah.
We can watch that on if you go to majorleaguepickleball.net
Mm-hmm.
and then click the little orange banner that says watch now. That will have everything there live. YouTube channel, Major League Pickleball will also be streaming. And so lots of ways to watch, and you are not going to want to miss
Yeah.
any of it.
No.
Like you can't. Like
Can't.
these players are too good. They're too entertaining. We're seeing like it's insane. Like, did you see the mashup of like the national championships from like 10 years ago versus
Yes. And like the corny music, and then like them going hands battle with like Deckel and Colin and Ben. You're like,
yes.
oh my gosh.
Did you see that, Michelle?
No.
It's insane, the difference in speed.
Yeah. Like, I think 10 years ago, Casey and I, at our skill level right now, would have destroyed men's doubles pro
We missed
as
the
national
window.
champions. We would have been national champions.
It's gonna be like,
Easy.
we're so good.
That would have been
Compared
so
so
cool.
good.
Why
Because
did
if
you
you're
guys do
watching that,
Yeah.
we could
can't
probably
do
just
it
say
now.
that. We're old enough. We could have said that.
We
Let's just
could
say
have
it.
had
get-
such bigger credentials on this podcast. Former national champions, Tyson Apostle and Casey Patterson.
I didn't even know about the sport then, but if we get a time machine
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we could go back, win it, and then just come back to the present.
See, I did know about the sport then. I just didn't know it was like a thing. By
You
the
could have been
masses.
national
I
champion.
could have been a national champion.
Yeah.
Now I'm pissed.
And I actually have a friend here who in Arizona who runs the Pickleball Focus Instagram page. He was national champion in 1985.
What?
Mixed doubles. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I have been missing out on this like trajectory for 10 years of my life. And Michigan volleyball stole my
1985, the guy I
knees.
played.
So now I'm pissed. Now I'm double pissed. I should have just
Yeah,
been
they're
in pickleball this whole time.
Can you get bionic knees?
Maybe, but then I don't know if that's legal, but
Yeah, okay.
add it to the list of illegal activities in pickleball.
Anytime I have to
Michelle's
go
bionic
in,
knees.
anytime I have to go in for any type of procedure, I'm always like fingers crossed for a rookie of the year type
Yes,
situation
where
where
it
it's
heals
like,
too tight.
oh, it heals too tight and now my reflexes are faster. Hasn't happened yet, but like every time I go in, I'm like, come on, rookie of the year. That can't just be
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
I've never-
Such a good movie. You haven't seen it, Michelle?
No, I've never seen that. And I was going to say I've never had a procedure done, so I don't even know what you're referencing. I'm
So
like,
Rookie of the Year is a show. It's a movie where a kid goes in, gets shoulder surgery. His tendons heal too tight or something, so he can throw like a 105 mile per hour fastball as like a 12-year-old
He's like
kid.
a 12-year-old, yeah.
So he's playing in the majors as a
awesome.
pitcher, throwing heaters. And so ever since that movie came out, every time I ever go to the doctor, I'm like, some type of Rookie of the
give
Year
me
scenario.
something.
Hit me here, yeah.
Yeah, because I know Angels in the outfield. It's too late for me.
Yeah.
That's so good.
They don't. I'm a lost cause. I need to have the surgery.
Yeah, you gotta have so go in for these surgeries hoping. So, anyways,
Very cool.
yeah, that's
Now I know.
that's the only way I'm gonna
Maybe
win.
I should go get my
anything
knees
is-
done now, so
Yeah.
I can have a
Jump
rookie of the
40
year.
inches. You're like,
Yeah, what happened? Rookie of the Year thing.
Of the year.
Yeah,
She's zooming everywhere. No
Yeah.
PEDs here, just supernatural knees. Thanks.
just got crazy healing. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will. When you go into Daytona, are you leaving the day that it starts, or going
No,
the day
I
early?
leave Wednesday. I'm
Okay.
flying into Orlando, driving an hour to Daytona instead
I'm
of.
so
I
jealous.
know, I'm so excited. I wish you were coming. And then going to Miami to do the other pickleball event, the Hall of Fame Pickleball Slam.
Oh yeah.
The Andre Agassi, Andy Roddick, and
Yes.
John McEnroe. I'll be covering
gonna
that
be
the
so
following
cool.
week in Florida. So I'm going to be living out of my suitcase for like the next 4 weeks.
Are these tennis guys good enough that it's going to be fun to watch?
I have not had the scouting report quite yet, but I feel like Hall of Fame tennis quality, like, I don't
If
know.
they've been hitting some pickleballs, we should see something
I
exciting.
think so. Agassi was
But-
training with Query the other day, so
Yeah.
he said he had a lot of fun learning from him. It's going to be entertaining, I can tell
And
you
the
that.
prize is $1 million
Uh-huh.
to the winning team, the winning duo, or to one single individual.
The winning duo, I believe.
Okay, so what are the teams? What's the matchup?
Let me look. I don't know.
Because they could do a round robin with all four of them,
and yeah, the king.
and then just have one
They-
single winner.
Let me see. I don't know if they have it listed yet. I don't know if we know.
Because you could be matched up, yeah, with the other three.
Pickleball Slam. You can buy tickets. I see. No, that's not what
Okay.
I want.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I think I like it. I like that they're going that direction because we already saw celebrities play pickleball on national TV, and I have to say that I wish I hadn't seen it.
for half of those, I feel the same. It's more of I was embarrassed. I was like, oof. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But-
you're
terrible.
probably right.
yeah, but
You're
I think
probably
that these
right.
guys are going to bring it, and
Yeah.
I mean, $1 million should be enough of an incentive to go hard.
I mean,
Especially because these guys have such sick ground strokes. At least that will look so cool. It should be like
Yeah.
they're firing at each other from the end line even. They all just stay back the whole time.
So
I don't think they've announced it yet, but there's a lot of
That's okay.
there's a lot of smack talking happening already. John McEnroe
Good.
leading the way on that, which is fun.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So
and okay, well,
Lots to look
I'm
forward
excited. Pickleball needs a John McEnroe, and who knew
They
that it
do.
was going to actually be John McEnroe?
It's not
they
fair.
will. I wonder.
They left the door open too long.
Yeah, and then John McEnroe's like, "I'm fine. I'll be
like,
I'll
"All
be
right,
the
I'll
John
do it."
McEnroe of
Yeah.
pickleball."
Yeah.
Anything else before we shut down?
No, I don't think
Just
so.
excited to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. I
go
already
rest my
told you
voice.
how to tune in to all the exciting action this week. You can follow Major League Pickleball on all social medias for any updates. You can follow Casey Patterson on Instagram and Michelle McMahon also on Instagram. Very popular accounts,
Thanks,
both
Tyson.
verified. Both verified, and
Both
with
popular accounts.
yeah, Casey. With Casey, what you get is you get some volleyball flashbacks,
Thank you. Yes.
some pickleball. You're doing now some pickleball content
Just
with
some fun stuff with Matt Manassi.
with
yeah.
Matt Manassi,
Yeah.
teaching some pickleball skills.
Yeah.
kind
he's
of
teaching
right.
Me and we're just talking about it. Yeah, it's good. It's
Cool.
fun.
And then with Michelle, you get some pickleball, you get some hockey, and you get some golden retriever content.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
some random wellness hacks because I love wellness. But yeah, I got to
Nice.
spice up my social media. I'm going to venture more into the pickleball
Ooh.
side now that
Okay.
I've got more time on my hands. This 12-day road trip really took it out of me, guys. I'm going to be honest.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, brutal.
I took my kids to Southern California for like 5 days, and I'm going to be recovering for like the next month.
Seriously. Like
Yeah.
Day 3, you're like, are we done yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know you guys are having fun, but I'm exhausted. So, okay. Thank you both for being here, and thank you all for listening. We'll see you in Daytona, and if you can't be there, tune in. See ya.
Bye.